Welcome back to Growing Up with Godzilla, my friends. My name is Donny Winter, and this is my show where I have conversations with Godzilla fans about how they've grown with the character and franchise over time. This episode is a continuation of my conversation with the wonderful human being, DiManna, who is the brilliant mind behind the Godzilla Novelization Project. Enjoy. So let's think personally, obviously you described some of your journey, middle school, high school being difficult. From then on to now, how would you argue Godzilla has shaped you as the person you are right now?
That is that's a deep one. That's a deep question, and
They're my favorite ones to ask.
because the answers are always so interesting, aren't they?
Yes, they
And it's
are.
different for each person. I think that I've always said this of Godzilla as if it's a real, like I speak of Godzilla as a franchise, as a character, as all the stuff, whether it's the toys or the many books I've read or the just pile of DVDs, you know, pardon me, that I own, you know. I mean, my kitchen is a monster video store. I turned my kitchen into a video store, and I've got probably 100 of these. I've
That's
got so many.
amazing.
It's so great, and I get to see it every day. I'm nesting in my passions, and I think that the key takeaway is that I always say Godzilla has been there for me. He's been there for me, and I'll go a step farther and say that the biggest impact he's had is on my creativity
Mhm.
and the inspiration it has given me and the opportunities it has given me, and that's the biggest impact. And I guess that kind of somewhat segues into the Godzilla Novelization Project a little bit, which is for anybody who's watching who might not know, that's my claim to fame. That sounds so pretentious. I'm not gonna.
But it's so justified
I don't know. That's for other people to say. I will say
and
that.
well deserved, my friend.
Thank you. I it's my jam. It's the thing that got my foot in the door with actually participating in the fandom instead of just being an observer and watching the films alone at night. Which I still do. But that sounded very sad. That's not what I meant.
Oh, I
But
do that too.
yeah, that's my thing. I've been lucky to meet a lot of people, friends and just lovely, lovely people over the last few years that I've connected with, but none of them live close to me. So these films are an entirely isolating passion and hobby for me, just in my
Yeah.
own physical space. I don't have people to share that with that I can just call. Hey, want to come over and watch a Godzilla? I don't have that, but I do have a lot of great friends that make up for it. But so the Godzilla Novelization Project, again, for anybody who might not know, is a project I launched 4.5 years ago. That's amazing. That is systematically it's exactly what the name would imply. It's a project that is committed to eventually and over time creating full-length English language Godzilla novels based on the films. I'm novelizing and adapting all of the Japanese films specifically. The American ones already have novelizations. Japanese ones don't. So they're all getting novels. The chapters are serialized. They're being published 100% free on a concentrated website where everything is archived. It's mostly one chapter at a time. And the goal by the time I'm done is to have all the Japanese film. This will take years, by the way. This is not I've been at this for almost 5 years now, and I've still got a long way to go. But the goal is to give all of the films American novelizations that are as well written as I can make them. They are thoroughly researched. They are as respectful to the original Japanese dialogue and scripts and tone and intent. That's a big one, intent, as possible. And it's my way of using, my own brand of creativity to basically say thank you to these films and also to share them with other people in a way that they haven't experienced before in prose. And that was a kind of a dream that started in my head when I was back in high school. Got to go back to high school. And when I was maybe a junior, I got it in my head because, first of all, I'm a voracious reader. The last few years have been a bit slow for me when it comes to reading. Oh yeah, glasses are going on. Yes, dude, yes. I love to read. I love to read, and I've been so bad about reading lately. My life the last few years has just been so insane, and this year in particular has decided that it really wants to just keep knocking me over and kicking me. But
Oh.
and I yeah, it's I mean I don't want to I don't want to depress anyone, but yeah, I've had a couple of sad things happen this year, but I'm fine. I'm okay. And one of the things I've been doing this year recently is finally picked up a book again and started reading it. When I was in high school, I read a book a week. I couldn't get enough of. I just plowed through books, and I need to get back into that because it's a huge part of my life that I miss. But at the time, being a film fan and being a book fan, and also really jumping into stuff like film novelizations, which there's a lot of them out there, and some of them
There
are pretty
are.
darn good. I got it in my head. You know what? Why not try writing a Godzilla book based on a film? Just grab some notebook paper out of my out of one of my school binders and just did it. I just started writing, and I actually just found those recently. I'll have to take pictures and share them.
Oh,
I'm
you
sure
know,
they're embarrassing, but I will share them with
so
people.
I fully plan on inviting you back on for
Oh
season
yeah.
2 of the show, mind you. So
Yes.
that would be
Yeah.
something fun to show off because I also have my old comic books
Oh
slash fanfics that
yes.
I would write. I think that'd
That's
be a
awesome.
fun little thing to do an episode on. Be like,
You know
oh,
what? This is a great idea, and I'm in. We'll each pick a couple, and yes, and we can people will laugh at us, and it'll be great.
I love
Um,
making a fool of myself. It's one of my favorite pastimes.
I'm down with that. I used to not be as much, but you know what? I don't know. Maybe I just got one of those faces, but listen, if you can't laugh at yourself, then
Precisely. I feel
exactly.
that
But
way. I feel so passionate about that. But, like, I really resonate with what you said about reading too, because, like, for me, like, I think because of my profession, I do so much, like, reading for my job that, like,
mhm.
I don't get to do a lot of leisurely reading anymore. And it's really
Yeah,
hard to grab back onto that, you know, because
it's
it
a
does take
mindset.
energy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a dedication of time, and it's a mindset. Um, and it's just crippling me because I have so many books that I have piles of books I have to read, and I have books that I've purchased from friends that I need to read, and comics that I need to read. I have Andres Perez's Draco Azul comics next to my
Mm.
bed that I haven't read yet, and I talked to him over at AMA this previous weekend, and I'm like, bro, I'm so sorry, I need to read those books. Um, but the book that I'm actually currently reading, and I'm halfway done with it, is actually Alyssa's Daughter Darkness, um, which I
Chef's
just
kiss.
it's just such an amazing book. Um, I can't put the dang thing down. I
There
can't put it down. And I got it from her however long ago, and every time I tried to pick it up and read it, my life would just go ha ha ha. Nope. So this time I looked right back at life and I said, guess what? So I'm halfway through it. I'm gonna finish it here within the next couple of weeks. I'll leave it a nice review, but that's been therapeutic. That book has saved me. I just love that book.
Okay, so you kind of said that the Godzilla Novelization Project is like your love letter to the films of sorts, right?
That's my
S-
hope at least.
So I want to, like, let's pretend that it's 20 years from now and you have finished
Mm.
the entire Godzilla Novelization Project. What do you want the legacy of it to be?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would very much like for people to look at it or look back on it or both as something that honored the films they love, something that paid respect to them, but also provided them, the readers, with a perspective on the films that maybe they didn't have before. Because there are so that's one of the reasons I started the project, is because prose and using words to paint pictures is such an evocative way to tell a story. And we've all seen these films, the Godzilla films, a bajillion times.
Mm.
And what would it be like to look at those same stories through a different lens? And was it worth it to take the time and the energy to look at the movies that we all love and have seen a million times through that lens? I'd like the legacy to be the answer to that question. I would like that answer to be yes. I would like for people to have felt that I added something to the fandom through this project, and that it was worth their time, it was worth their investment, And more than anything else, that it entertained them and maybe spread a smile or two. I know that's cheesy. I know that's
No,
cheesy.
that's not cheesy at all. Like, as
Listen,
a fellow writer, like,
yeah,
that legacy question's important because
it's a big one. I just, if it
yeah.
spread some joy to people, that is literally the most I can ask of it.
Well,
If
and
it
at
brightened
at
a
the
day, that's,
at the end of the day, our
yeah.
writing is an extension of us too, in some
Yes.
way. Like, and
Yes.
that to me is so important, you know?
It is.
So I have a very important question because obviously there are writers out there in our fandom who probably have not discovered that they love writing yet, or they do know that they love writing, but they really haven't put their work out there or made the time for it. And I'm kind of curious myself as a writer to know what your advice would be. What is your advice for aspiring writers in the kaiju fandom?
This is a big one. And it's a very simple thing, but also an incredibly complex one. And the first thing I'll say is that, and this goes for anything creative, but specifically for writing, the hardest thing you will do when starting to write something is start to write something.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part. A lot of my friends are writers, and I've made a lot of connections with other writers through the GNP, people who've sent me their fan fictions and their novels, and they've wanted my opinion, which is just, that blows my mind that people would care what I had to say. And the one thing I always say, especially when people do ask, how do I start something, I the easiest thing that I could possibly say is, the hardest thing you'll do is is actually putting the pencil on the paper and making a word. If you can get, because there's so much power in that first thing that you write for your book, word one, chapter one, book one. That's
Yeah.
a powerful moment, and it's so easy to psych yourself out. So my biggest advice, is, as best you can, and it's hard. It's so hard. I had to do it. I sometimes still have to do it. And outside of the Godzilla Novelization Project, I write for a living. I mean, my living is writing. But th- that fear will hold you back in ways obvious and not obvious. So
Yeah.
I always say, as best you can, and it is hard, release it.
Yep. That's
Release
so
that fear
important.
in whatever way you can. Take a look at that fear and realize that it has no power over you. It has no power over you. You could be looking at a Word document with nothing on it, just completely the tyranny of the blank page. And isn't that so,
I love
with
that.
apologies to Frasier, whom I stole that line from. But the
Hey, you your source, you're good.
but yeah, that idea of, it's intimidating. So in whatever way you can, lessen the intimidation. And a couple of easy ways to do that I'll rattle off is, one, just start writing words. Just start writing silly things. It doesn't have to be a book. It doesn't have to be the first chapter of the next great American novel. Just, sit and write a funny word that you like, or write a line from a movie. Just get writing. Just write something. And then maybe something, well, maybe that's all you do that day, but you wrote something. Maybe you just write one word that made you laugh and then you close the computer, but you wrote something and it's a beginning. So making sure that you start is huge. Making sure that you follow through on it is huge. And making sure that you realize that first drafts, man, it's
Oh,
it's first drafts. There's a lot I could say about first drafts, but the biggest thing I'll say is that up until you're ready to show it to anyone, you're the only person who's going to see it. So there's nothing to fear.
yeah.
And if I, but wait, I hear you saying, what if I'm afraid of it? Well, you got to release that fear, because what's so scary about just writing words on a page? There's nothing scary about it. And, eventually challenges will come. Someone will have to see it eventually. But by that point, it's my hope that you've built up your confidence. So my advice to anyone, if it's a book you want to write, if it's fan fiction you want to write, and even outside of writing, if it's a drawing you want to make, just in whatever way you can, release the fear and find the joy. If you can find the joy, then all the fear will, I mean, you will be nervous. There will be moments. It's not all sunshine and rainbows writing at all. But if you derive genuine pleasure from what you do, and you have something that you feel like you want to share with the world, but you also want to tell it for your own sake, just don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. You know, that's the one thing. There are a lot of things I could say. And the other thing I'll say is that I know I can't speak for everybody, but you out there, you know who you are. You, anybody who might be reading this, I want to read your stuff. You know, I like reading things people send me. There are people who will want to see and experience what you do, whether it's a family member, whether it could start out small and explode. It could be a humble thing. Don't put too many restrictions on yourself. Don't put any big pressures on yourself. Have fun, find joy, relish that joy, relish in the joy of creation, and just kick the fear to the curb as best you can. And I think you'll find that things will start to flow easier, because there's no reason why anybody on this planet that wants to tell a story shouldn't try to tell it. Not a single reason. So tell your
Ooh,
stories. There you go.
that gave me goosebumps.
Oh
Ooh.
yeah.
Daniel, this has been such a great conversation. And I would argue, as a fellow Godzilla fan and as a fellow professional writer, that you've already carved out and etched out your legacy in this fandom. And
Oh my
I
gosh.
have no doubt that fans will continue to celebrate what you've done and what you're going to continue to do. And I'm glad that I get to be a part of that as well.
Donnie,
So,
that is tremendous to hear, and that really does mean a lot. I appreciate
oh,
that so much. Thank you. Thank
of
you. I really
course.
do.
Yeah. Where can people find your stuff?
Well, the place to find the GNP specifically would be Godzilla Novelization Project.com. Nice and simple. It used to be .wordpress.com. Do not be fooled. If you see that, that is not what it is anymore. I a couple years ago was able to ditch the pardon me, the ad-filled nightmare that was the WordPress version, or the free WordPress version, for a nice paid-for version. Thanks to my
Ah,
thanks to my patrons. They've been able to help me with that, which has been really cool. But yeah, if you go to the website GodzillaNovelizationProject.com, it should be one of, if not the top result if you Google it. That's where you'll find the novelizations. It's pretty easy to navigate. You'll also find short stories that I've written that are within the Godzilla universe. Timelines. I really need to get back into the timelines. I've written a couple of behind the scenes blogs. I have if you want to hear me continue to just yammer about this stuff, I have a page on my website where you can find other podcast and live stream appearances I've done and articles I've written, links to various things I've done, even the voice acting. That's the other cool thing I've been able to do with in the Godzilla realm, is I've been able to do voice work, which is really awesome.
that is so cool.
It's just a dream come true. Really, really cool stuff. I was in the Godzilla Unmade Bride of Godzilla episode as the mad scientist.
Oh my God,
Um,
that is amazing.
yep, that was Dr. Sheeta. That was me. Doing my Godzilla. I
Yes.
had to. Yeah, that was me. I can't believe I still can't
Oh
believe I got
no,
to
the
do that.
Godzilla.
Godzilla. Yeah, I did. I did that on purpose too. That's how I got. I think that's one of the reasons I got the role, is because when I read it, it was Godzilla, but I decided to read it as if it were Godzilla, to say it like that instead. And what do you know? I got the part. It was
I would
great.
have given you the part for that by itself anyway.
It was so much fun. And if you anybody wants to check that out, that's on there. Outside of that, if you want to follow along with the project, probably the easiest place to do that is Twitter. Sorry, something stuck in my throat.
Oh
But
no.
no, I'm faking it. I can't be too mean to Twitter. Twitter's been nice to me.
I know, me too.
Um, Twitter's been nice to me. I have a surprisingly huge follower count on. I think I'm getting close to like 3,800 people on Twitter that follow the project.
Ooh.
It's bonkers. I don't know how that happened. I'm not complaining, but I don't know how it happened. But yeah, that's a great place. I share updates on the project. I share older chapters. I share really, really bad puns. I share just anything I can do to just make
Oh.
people laugh. I did a really bad Godzilla outstanding in his field pun the other day.
I think I remember
Listen,
seeing it.
I am willing to go there. I'm willing to go there. I will do that. I have a Facebook page as well, Godzilla Novelization Project on Facebook. Just type it in, you'll find it. It's pretty easy. I share pretty much the same stuff. as on Twitter. If you have something more you want to tell me, or you want to send me things like like I mentioned before, links to books and fan fiction or art, or if you'd have longer questions you want to ask me, or just have a chat, I will just chat about Godzilla with you. It's cool. I love it. Godzilla Novelization Project at gmail.com. I am very behind on my emails. I have a lot in there I haven't gone through, and I feel bad, but
I'm
I
always
will see
behind in
it.
mine.
It's terrible. I've got like 80 different emails I manage for personal, for work, for writing. It's crazy. Also, apologies. GNP at gmail.com was taken. So you will have to write Godzilla Novelization Project at Gmail out. I apologize for the pain in your fingers right now. But
The
yes,
pain
that's
is
there.
worth it.
The pain is, I'd like to think so. And then one more plug is Patreon. Which I'm horrible about plugging because I'm horrible about asking people for money. But the GNP's Patreon is currently, I'm getting real close to my next Patreon tier goal, which is to produce merch like t-shirts and, lanyards and
Ooh.
stuff like that. But yeah, I'm really, really close to that. The GNP Patreon helps me acquire research material from Japan. It helps me, or it is going to help me eventually do more in-depth translating. It's also going to help me pay for getting audiobook versions of these things done one of these days. Which I've had a
That
lot of
would be
people.
amazing.
I've had a lot of people who've said they want that, and a couple people who have reached out to me from the community with great voices who want to read them. So I'm just waiting.
I mean, I don't know if I have a good voice or not for reading, but if you ever need one,
You got a
let me
film in mind?
know. A
Putting you on the
moth or
spot.
film. All I
A
ask is
moth or
for a
film?
moth or film.
Okay. You know what? I think I can work with that. I think I can work with
I've
that.
always wanted to
I'll
be a
have
moth or fairy, and that's one step closer for me.
I will
Perfect.
have my people call your people. I
Yes.
have no people. Just gonna throw that out there. I am making that up. I have no people. But yeah, Patreon. What else does Patreon do? Patreon also, if I have enough saved up, I could take a day off work, and spend writing. That's a little extra money that I can use for that. I do not use it to buy toys. I have had people ask me that legitimately. Do you use Patreon money to buy toys? No, I don't use Patreon money to buy toys. I mean, you could be forgiven for thinking I'm fibbing, but I promise I don't use Patreon money to buy toys. No, I use it for GNP specific stuff only. It has made some of the books possible where they would not have been possible otherwise. It is a crucial element that I don't talk about nearly enough. It's one of the Patreon is going to be that's going to help me get this thing done faster, and it's going to help me get it done as good as it can be. So yes, Patreon. But yeah, other than that, my socials,
Oh,
the actual website, that's about it. Hit me up, chat with me. Let's share some Godzilla joy. Let's
I
share some
love
God.
that.
That's what I'm all about. Is
Which is
you know,
like I feel like that's what we've been doing here too, like with just this
yeah,
conversation. It
I
feels
hope
so
so.
good.
Maybe
Like,
hopefully next time we do it, I have better lighting on my face.
oh, your lighting's perfectly
I have
fine.
to wear a hat too because this is something going on up there.
I'm always fiddling with my hair, my glasses. I totally get it.
I'm sitting here just like something crawled onto my head and died.
Well, Daniel, this has
Oh
been
man.
so wonderful. I really appreciate you joining me today for this. And all of the socials will be down in the the description section of the video. And remember, everyone, that Growing Up with Godzilla premieres every first and third Sunday. First and third Sunday of each month at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of your night.
Thanks everyone.